Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3706. Today's date is November 16, 2025. It's been almost like a night at 9:36 p.m. All right, should we jump into the question? Let's go. All right, the question is: what if spirituality influence physical reality? Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question, and why am I asking this question to myself? This is what if question. Why am I asking this question to myself? What if question is always really interested way to give the answer. It kind of like a force you to think about that reality. And when I try to construct that reality, I kind of like simply utilize the information and knowledge do I have. When I use that information and knowledge, somehow it felt really good. Somehow it felt really nice, and I don't know how do I supposed to explain how I feel really good, but it felt good. Disclaimer: the information that I'm trying to tell you is not exactly right or is not exactly wrong. It is raw, it is unfiltered, it is just my opinion. So do not believe in any kind of like information that I'm saying, or do not seek for any kind of like information that I'm saying. It's just raw, it's unfiltered, it's just my opinion, and opinion are subjective. Alright, so should we proceed? Alright, yeah. Now regarding about the question says that what if spirituality influence the physical reality? Well, it sounds kind of like a little bit like a non-understandable, but it's not. Okay, let me explain as simple as possible as I can. What is exactly spirituality? How is exactly do you think at spirituality? Mostly you should supposed to be consider that spirituality means like that ki associate with the religious factor and things like that. And that is somewhat true, by the way, because I'm belong to the India, and specifically spiritualism are associated with the religious factor, which is not exactly true. Okay, yeah. Like basically this thing, I understand that ki religious is a kind of like a simply way that it connects the spirituality, but somehow it not. Okay, I think that spirituality and religious are kind of like a two different term. And sometimes religious are kind of like a utilize spirituality, but kind of like a, let's just say only maybe 10%. Okay, I don't know. I think that now spirituality and kind of like religious are two different things. Okay, if you still not really understand this thing, let me give you context. Okay, so in Buddhist religious context, in Buddhist religion, meditation are very much essential factor, like very essential kind of like a procedure to kind of like a simply gain knowledge and information and things like that. A meditation. Okay, now meditation is a kind of like a spiritual activity. Okay, it's a spiritual activity, and you would kind of like a something is this thing that ki you would like you would kind of like be more focused more and things and that. I don't know how do I supposed to explain. I haven't really done that much meditation, but it's somehow it's good. Like as compared to people says, they kind of like feel really good. They kind of like been really focused and things and that because of the meditation. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, meditation is not the only one kind of like a represent the spirituality. By the way, the Buddhist religion kind of like simply represent that meditation is a kind of like a simply way to connect the spirituality, which is somewhat something true, by the way. Okay, yeah. But there are multiple ways to connect the spiritualism. Now, what is exactly that multiple ways to connect the spiritualism? Okay. Multiple ways. What is it? Like what exactly is this thing? What should be? What is exactly the spiritualism? How do I supposed to define that? How do I supposed to understand that? What is exactly spiritualism? Okay, yeah. I'm just kind of like simply, I don't know what is exactly the meaning of spiritualism, and I don't know what exactly is this thing. But I try to explain which somewhat something associated with the spiritualism, but I'm not really sure. Okay, yeah. Because I seen some sort of example in my real life, and it kind of like a feels little bit of kind of like a little bit magical and things like that. Because I don't know, it's very hard to explain regarding about spiritualism. Some people kind of like say lot of stuff, I'm trying to explain kind of like a simply the significant scenario is actually happening in my life and kind of like a scene in my surrounding. I'm trying to tell you. I'm not really sure is it kind of like a part of spiritualism or not, but it is somewhat something. Okay. First of all, meditation. Okay, meditation is also part of the kind of like a meditation. I know you know it's bit really common. Okay. Yoga is also a part of meditation too. Sorry, also is a part of kind of like a spiritualism too. Okay. Yoga, then exercise. Okay. Running. Okay, running, exercise. Okay, this is kind of like a very bit common, right? Yeah, it's not really common, but it's somewhat something a kind of like a closely associated with the spiritualism. Okay. Then another thing is that I don't know, have you ever kind of like somebody listen any kind of like a music, and some of the music are kind of like connect with you. It connect with your kind of like some emotions and history and things like that. I don't know. There is a couple of song. Okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing when you kind of like somebody listen some of the older song, not the kind of like somebody so much older, no. Such a song that kind of like somebody associate with you. That kind of like somebody refresh the memory that you've been. Like example, okay, yeah. For me, there is a kind of like somebody one song. What is actually the name of song? I'm not really sure the name. Okay, yeah. I have kind of like in my playlist. Okay, yeah. But this song is kind of like somebody connect with me in such a way. Like okay, it's very hard to explain. Okay. What exactly is this song? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. This song is really good. Okay, yeah. Let me tell you this song. This song is like really good. I have in my playlist, by the way. Where is a YouTube? Probably there is a kind of like a something is this thing that who is the kind of like something that particular singer who says that ki तेरा घाटा मेरा कुछ नहीं जाता, तेरा घाटा मेरा कुछ नहीं जाता, मेरा कुछ नहीं जाता. Okay, so this guy Gajendra Verma. Okay, Gajendra Verma. And Gajendra Verma's track. Wait. Gajendra Verma's track. Wait. Is it recording? Yeah, it's recording. Okay, yeah. By the way, it's a kind of like a something a pause because while I was kind of like doing this, messing with this. Is it recording, na? Yeah, it's recording. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this guy Gajendra Verma, this is the kind of like somebody artist, and there is a song I kind of like strongly associate with this song, which is kind of like really good. Okay, what is exactly is this song? It's just video, not there like popular song. Where is it? Love and support this guy. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. Just like wait. I found the track, but I didn't found the name of the track. Wait. Maybe this is the track, probably. Probably they kind of like change the thumbnail, probably. I'm not really sure. Okay, still recording. Okay, I'm not really sure. Wait, let me pause here. Okay, yeah. All right. Okay. So this is I found a track. Okay, yeah. This is the track named Ik Kahani from Gajendra Verma. Okay, yeah. So this is the track which is actually kind of like a release almost like a 7 year ago. It's been almost like a maybe 2019 maybe. Okay, yeah. So this song is, I don't know, like would you resonate with this song? Like probably might be for your point of perspective, might be your song might be kind of like a very different song. But let me give you my perspective. What exactly how I associate with this song. Okay, yeah. So this is the song name Ek Kahani from Gajendra Verma. Okay, yeah. So this track, this audio track is like basically just normal video track. Okay, normal audio track. It's a really good song, by the way. It's a romantic song. Okay, but whenever I heard that song, I kind of like simply went into that particular moment that when I had a breakup. Not had a breakup, like it's not a breakup somehow. It's like it's a very wrong way to say. Okay, yeah. What exactly happened? Okay, yeah. Probably in that particular context, I'm not really sure exactly what exactly happened. Okay, yeah. But I usually like a particular girl. Okay, yeah. And I like this particular girl, but she didn't really love me the way that I love her. Okay, yeah. And it's not that ki kind of like somebody is this thing that ki we've been in relationship, no, nothing at all. I just kind of like assuming that I like her, then might be she kind of like I try to approach her, but I realized that ki she didn't really like me the way that I like. And then I kind of like simply stop myself and things like that. Like basically I confirm that, okay, yeah, she kind of like mentioned very vividly that she didn't really like me the way that, yeah. Did I feel really heartbroken? No, it's not really heartbroken. It feels a little bit of sad. It feels somehow sad. Okay, yeah, but it's very hard to explain what is exactly that sadness. Okay, yeah, but it felt little bit, just a very little bit. It's not really that kind of like somebody that I have a kind of like a somebody 5 year of relationship is actually breakup. No, it's not. It just I like that particular girl. I never really approached that girl. I try to approach on kind of like somebody WhatsApp or other social media platform. And she kind of like mentioned me very vividly that she didn't like me the way. Okay, yeah. So then I kind of like stopped chasing that. Okay, yeah. So in that particular moment, I kind of like somebody listening this song. Okay, I don't know why, but it's kind of like somehow in my feed this kind of like a song came into me. Okay, yeah. Now let me give you kind of like a couple of things. Okay, yeah. In relationship, usually kind of like somebody when you try to mention the relationship, there is kind of like two people actually involved in relationship, boy and girl relationship. Okay, yeah. But in my point of perspective, only I was kind of like liking that girl. Okay, yeah. So, and I was kind of like doing a lot of stupid stuff. Okay, yeah. What's stupid stuff? Is that whenever she kind of like somebody upload any kind of like a new profile on her WhatsApp DP, I kind of like save that DP. I kind of like screenshot that DP and kind of like somebody save in my gallery, in my private kind of like a gallery, private gallery. Okay, yeah, like no one will gonna see and things like that. Okay, yeah. And I just kind of like somebody looked her photo every time, like basically like I don't know, the falling in love kind of like things that. Okay, yeah, I was kind of like I don't know, I kind of like strongly have attraction towards that girl and kind of like somebody I just kind of like look at her photos and kind of like feel really good somehow. Okay, yeah. And another thing is that whenever she was kind of like online in kind of like somebody WhatsApp, okay, yeah, I kind of like try to talk. I kind of like somebody said hi. It took me kind of like so much hard to say hi to her, but still it's kind of like feeling that love and things like that. Okay, whatever. What I'm trying to tell you, what exactly is this thing? What is exactly my point of perspective? Is this thing that have you feel that some sort of song are kind of like a resonate some sort of emotions or some sort of memory that triggered? Like it actually happened with me and probably it happened with you too. Okay, it's not really that probably we are human and you are also human too, and you kind of like understand that emotions. Let's talk about the song. Okay, because I think that probably when you try to connect with the spirituality, music is kind of like one of the medium that probably most of people actually connect with that spiritualism, but they don't know they are actually connecting with the spiritualism. I'm trying to explain. I might be completely wrong, but okay, yeah. Okay, so there are a couple of people. Okay, yeah. when they are kind of like simply listening some sort of EDM song, they are kind of like a pump up. Like in the gym, people are kind of like using EDM songs, like a fast music song, and when they kind of like heard that fast music song, they kind of like simply pump up, and they are kind of like simply putting a lot of effort to kind of like lifting the weight and things like that. This actually happen in the gym. I actually feel that thing. You also feel that thing too. Okay, same thing with the athlete. Okay, when the people are kind of like running, instead of kind of like you are kind of like running by normal, the person would kind of like not really run that long. But if that particular person kind of like listening EDM music or any kind of like a music, kind of like a fast music or things like that, then probably that person would kind of like simply run really long or really faster or things like that. Okay, same thing happened with like basically this thing. I don't know, but somehow emotions are somehow kind of like simply our spirituality is actually connected by the music. I don't know how it should supposed to be. Because of that key, some people are like basically at some certain moment we kind of like started doing dance by listening some of the music and things like that. Why we do that? Other person not do that. Some of the people do that. Why? Is because of they love dancing, and somehow their kind of like some music are kind of like some making them move. So that's why they are kind of like doing a dance. When they're like some of the people are kind of like only being in sad and things like that, they are kind of like listening sad music. They kind of like feel that sadness somehow. I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing, but somehow is this thing that music is a kind of like a way that you connect with your spiritualism too. Okay, first medium is a meditation. Another is a kind of like a something is this thing that music probably. Okay, music, meditation, music. Another thing is that have you ever kind of like some experience that some of the kind of like a medical magic is actually happened, and you actually feel that thing too? You actually kind of like listen that story. Like some of the people, like a doctor kind of like says that this patient will not gonna survive, or this patient will not gonna kind of like walk again in the rest of the life. And that particular person would kind of like putting a lot of effort. He kind of like strongly believe that he could able to run and things like that. And within a year, that particular person is started walking and started running. Like basically doctor kind of like mentioned that that particular person will not gonna walk for rest of the life. After a year, that particular person started walking. Is kind of like somebody that this is kind of like somebody energy that beyond our science that couldn't understand. And this kind of like happen in real life. Okay, like there are so many kind of like somebody the stories that you have listen and things like that. Another thing is that survive. Okay, people are kind of like surviving such a kind of like somebody event where kind of like it's not actually possible to survive, but people actually meant to be survive over that time. It's kind of like somebody tell us that they have kind of like a resilience. I don't know how do I supposed to explain. Another thing is that is that like basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that a spiritualism is a kind of like something beyond our imagination. I don't know what exactly is this thing, but if we kind of like utilizing spiritualism power, then we are kind of like we are kind of like somebody that understand more or kind of like became stronger or things like, I don't know. It's a very hard to explain. It's kind of like somebody being kind of like experience. If you experience that thing, then you understand the gravity of what I'm saying. Okay, now this is called kind of like some spiritualism. Okay, and this is what kind of like a things it is. Now regarding about the question says that what if the spiritualism is kind of like a something the influence the physical reality? Does the spiritualism is kind of like a influence the physical reality? Well, when you went to the club, there is a kind of like a some song is kind of like a pumping out, you are kind of like a dancing. So somehow if the spiritualism is actually connected by the music, and music is kind of like a resonate with your body, then probably it kind of like affect the physical world, right? Somewhat. Like basically take an example as a kind of like an athlete who can run without headphone, and the person another athlete could kind of like a run with the kind of like a headphone, with kind of like a with the EDM song and things like that. Probably is this thing that the person like not take an athlete are kind of like a bit more always kind of like a somebody mood to run. Let's take a normal person kind of like a very difficult to run without any music, but kind of like a somebody with the music, that particular person can able to be run and things like that. wait for a while. I have pressure. I have to let go that pressure. Sorry for this inconvenience. I was kind of like taking a lot of gaps while recording Artifact. Yeah. Like basically I went to number 2. I kind of like exhaust all my stuff from my body. It felt really good. Yeah. Now I feel like really good. Okay. Now I feel like I'm actually connected with my universe. I don't know, have you ever feel like that? After you exhaust, you feel like good. You feel like that. Wow. Something. I don't know. Okay. So let's jump back to the question. The question says, what if spirituality influences the physical reality? Okay. So imagine this scenario. Okay. Now I'm not really sure that spirituality is kind of like some effect on physical reality or not. Okay. But I have a couple of kind of like some example. Okay. I'm not really sure, but I'm trying to give you kind of like a hypothetical situation. It might gonna happen or not, I'm not really sure, but still, okay. If the spirituality is a kind of like a something, is this thing that it affect on physical reality, then what would be that particular world? Imagine a kind of like a boy who like a particular girl. They have in relationship for almost like a more than 2-3 years. Now they are in long distance. Okay. Their relationship is in long distance relationship, and now the boy is actually miss a girl. Okay. And when the boy is kind of like so let's in this reality, okay, if the boy miss that particular girl, then probably that girl will kind of like feel lot of kind of like the attraction towards that boy without having any kind of like connection and things like that, without knowing and things like that. Just that particular boy just miss her, and that particular girl is kind of like feeling little bit of attracted towards boy automatically without even knowing and things like that. Okay. Because it's kind of like is this thing that love is kind of like somebody started physically kind of like somebody influence the reality. Okay. Because of love and things like that. Because another thing is that let's just say that angry. Okay. If you are kind of like somebody angry or things like that, then probably I don't know. It's a very hard to define what exactly is this thing. It's a very hard, like basically our emotions and things, because still the rest of the kind of like a fact that I wanted to kind of like give the proper answer, but I'm still not really sure regarding about what is at least spiritualism. Okay. Because I never really been connected with that thing, and whatever the kind of like explain that whatever the kind of like some situation that I explain is, I'm not really sure what exactly is this thing. Okay, you actually feel that there is a kind of like a some strong connection or bond or things that with our kind of like a divine, with our like, I don't know how do I. Okay, I'm just kind of like giving my scenario what I've been through. Okay, like basically a couple of days ago I was kind of like listening to music, Hans Zimmer music. Hans Zimmer music is kind of like one of the really amazing artists, and the way that he created the music was like, oh my god. By the way, you actually heard those music too. Okay, it's a very famous music, Hans Zimmer. So I was kind of like listening to music, and when I was kind of like listening that music, it kind of like pump up. It kind of like somebody is this thing. I was kind of like started imagining kind of like somebody that what would be my movie and things, and that I would kind of like creating each image, scene and scenario and things like that. Like basically is this thing. This is what kind of like things like okay. If you still not really understanding what I'm saying, okay, what you have to do is that go to the YouTube, search about the trailer song, okay, trailer music song, okay, search it, play any kind of like a random music, okay, or play any kind of like a things, okay. Make sure that you will not gonna watch, okay, you just have to listen and just close your eyes. You feel that thump and things and that, okay. A simple example, okay, go to the YouTube, search about Iron Man 3 trailer, okay, Iron Man 3 trailer, okay, play that trailer, but do not watch that trailer. Okay, do not watch that trailer. Just play that trailer and close your eyes and just listen the all the beats and things and whatever Tony Stark says and whatever the kind of like assembly the Mandarin says and things and that. The music is kind of like assembly feel like powerful, like pump up and things and that. Like it just felt like boom. Okay, yeah. This is what kind of like a things that this is what kind of like music resonate with this thing. I'm usually kind of like a connecting music is kind of like associated with the spiritualism, but somehow something it kind of like a somebody it physically impact. Like when I kind of like heard those music, I feel kind of like a impactful, like boom, 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 boom. It felt like that. It's it's very hard to explain at this moment. Okay, yeah, it's very very hard to explain. You just have to feel that thing. It's not it shouldn't supposed to be that kind of like something I just said and you just understand. That is not. It's definitely not. Okay, yeah, it really required kind of like some emotional understanding, and this is only and only is actually happen when you kind of like feel that particular moment or when you feel that particular beat or things or that. Okay, yeah, because still it's just like that now. If I try to Google it and kind of like give you kind of like a definition regarding about what is actually spirituality and things like that, I don't know. I still don't know. I don't really understand what is at least this thing. I'm just try to tell you the kind of like whatever that actually happened throughout my entire life, been connected with this particular context and how it's kind of like a resonate me and things. I don't know how is this thing. Okay, yeah. So if I don't really understand the spiritualism, how would I supposed to explain this question? Because the question says that what if the kind of like a spiritualism is kind of like affect on real life? Because it's somewhat something where I kind of like realize that yes, the spiritualism is kind of like affect on reality in some certain context, but at some certain context it's not. It's very hard to explain. Okay, so that's why. But if you kind of like understand the every possible scenario that I've been through and you also experience that thing too, then you realize what I'm saying. Alright, I will not gonna kind of like simply pursue it even more further. I'm gonna end here. Alright, yeah. And this is it, and thank you.